They say the sea remembers every soul it has ever touched. Some are called to its shores for adventure, some for escape, and some because fate has tied them to its depths. This is not just a story about a cruise. It is the story of a woman who has never truly been seen, not for her beauty or her scars or her heart, until three strangers stepped into her life like waves crashing against the shore. But the tides do not rise without reason, and when danger lurks beneath glittering waters, love and trust become the only anchors strong enough to keep her from being pulled under. These are the three tides to find her, and once they do, nothing will ever be the same. Welcome to Three Tides to Find Her. I was 40 years old and still waiting to feel like I belonged somewhere. Not in my childhood home, where silence rang louder than love. Not in school, where whispers and stares followed me like a second skin. Not in the arms of men, who only ever saw what they could take. And definitely not in the fluorescent-lit office, where I spent 40 hours a week as a glorified errand girl, passed over, talked down to, and laughed at, behind screens that lit up with group chats I was never invited to. They called me the mule, always carrying something for someone else: coffee, files, dry cleaning, lunch orders, snacks for meetings I wasn't allowed to sit in. I laughed when they joked, smiled when I wanted to cry, took up as little space as I could, even though the world never let me forget how much space I filled. I was plus size, and I had learned the world wasn't built for women like me. Seats were too small, dresses were too tight, compliments came with conditions. My size was a punchline in someone else's mouth, or worse, a fetish in someone else's hands. My clothes were always too tight or too loose, never right. My voice too soft to be heard, too sharp to be liked. My presence too invisible to matter, unless someone needed something. And love? Love was a punchline. I'd had boyfriends, if you could call them that. Boys who said I had a cute face, boys who swore they loved thick girls until their friends found out, boys who dared each other to sleep with me and then never called again. Once, someone I trusted whispered in my ear that I was the kind of woman men settled for when they ran out of options. That one stuck. So I stopped looking, stopped hoping, stopped believing I deserved anything more than crumbs. Until the email arrived. I almost deleted it. Probably a scam. Congratulations, you've been selected for a 7-night luxury cruise. It had the same glittery font and over-the-top exclamation marks as spam, but it came from my company email. My name was on it. It wasn't fake. It was real. A stupid office raffle I didn't even remember entering. Maybe someone entered my name for me. Maybe it was a joke. I didn't care. It didn't matter. I didn't want adventure. I didn't expect joy. I just needed to get away. So for once, I said yes. I didn't tell anyone. I packed my suitcase in silence, bought myself a new bathing suit I'd probably never wear. And when the day came, I stepped onto that ship not with hope, but with resignation. I wasn't looking for romance or magic or even peace. I just wanted quiet. A week without being stared at. A week where no one asked me to fetch anything or made me feel like a burden. I didn't believe in fate. Didn't believe in myself most days. But maybe I could believe in silence, in salty air and unfamiliar faces. Maybe the ocean wouldn't care how big I was. Maybe the water wouldn't laugh. Maybe out there, floating in the middle of nowhere, I could stop being something to endure and just be. I didn't pack dreams. I didn't bring hope. Just enough clothes to get through a week and enough pain to fill the rest of my life. The ship was called the Midnight Eclipse, sailing out of New Orleans with stops in Key West, Belize, and a private island. It was marketed as a romantic mystery cruise filled with masquerade balls, moonlit dances, secret admirers, stargazing parties, and elegant excursions. When I boarded, no one looked twice at me. No one whispered. No one handed me anything to carry. I showed my boarding pass, and for the first time in what felt like forever, someone smiled and said my name. "Welcome aboard, miss. She's Ron." That one stuck too. I walked to my cabin, let the door shut behind me, and let out a breath I didn't realize I was holding. I stood on the balcony, Nyan, letting the wind tug at my hair. For once, the silence didn't feel like punishment. I looked out at the endless blue and whispered, "Don't look at me," to no one. And maybe, just maybe, for the first time, no one did. I didn't know this trip would make me visible, not to the world, but to myself. And that would change everything.